Now, how about them damn Celtics?
And we are back with another episode of How About Them Celtics. Sam and I are here recording on Monday, September 9th. My voice cracked in the intro, but I'm going to leave it in. And we're here, and we're going to have Noa Dalzell on the podcast today. Noa Dalzell of SB Nation and CLNS Media. You got Boston podcast. You guys
Roundtable member
at this point. Yeah. I mean, if you follow this podcast, you definitely know who Noah is. Never been on the show before. First appearance. But yeah, we'll get into that soon. How you doing today, Sam?
Okay. It's Mondays. We're recording this. My internet has been giving me God's toughest battle. And, what are you going to do? I didn't get to see any of my friends yesterday because football.
Did you not go watch with them?
I had stuff to do.
I see. I thought you were saying like they wanted to watch football. I didn't, so I just stayed home. So
I also kind of didn't, but probably could have went.
It was fun. Pats won, which is probably the worst case scenario for you. I was pumped watching the game.
You're a Pats fan. You should be pissed too.
Yeah, dude. The Bengals. I know you probably didn't watch the game. Bengals had like 3 fumbles. So they just like kept giving the ball to the Patriots.
But BC football's ranked.
BC football. I'm more excited about. Did you watch
this week until they go to Missouri and probably lose?
Well, dude, their quarterback's nasty. Castellanos.
He's good.
He's could get drafted good. Like I don't know if he'll like actually play.
He's tiny.
Probably. So is Kyler Murray. You know, they're examples. So is Bryce Young. And
biggest fact about those two. Well, Bryce Young's not Murray. All everyone talks about him is Call of Duty.
True. Probably not the best thing to know for it. Yeah, Castellanos is 5'10". That is small for a quarterback, but we'll see. Anyways, we talked with Noah about so many random things. Talked about Lonnie Walker, talked about Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown going into next season, talked about unusual skills players have, NBA player rankings, Bobby Manning's top 100. We did the rat list. Actual rats kind of made the rat list effectively. So yeah, we can just jump into that right now. All right, and we would like to welcome Noa Dalzell to the show. The first time she's ever been on here. She's been on Roundtable, plenty of stuff. You've seen her around. Noah, how you doing?
Yeah, I don't think that's true. I've definitely been on here before. But
never
thank you for having me.
On the show before.
Podcast. Never on the.
You don't think?
No, because we didn't have a background for you.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's how we know.
Oh, you know what? I've done your post game thing. Is that different?
Yeah.
That's why.
Yeah.
That is.
You've done post game, but you've never. I don't think you've ever been.
I stand corrected.
On the actual How About Them Celtics. No, I'll start with this. Would you like to guess who the all-time leader in How About Them Celtics guest appearances is? There's a 2-man race for first place.
Does count, or is he like
no,
he doesn't.
We're gonna separate. Yeah,
juice like steroid era numbers for Bobby.
Yeah. It's talking C's numbers. Those don't count directly.
Race. What's the number of guest appearances?
I think it's at like 8 and 7. I think they're at 8 and 7 respectively. Which should be more because this has been like 5 years. So this is like kind of hand up our bad for not doing more guests.
We're so bad at it.
Is Bobby Manning one of them?
I think he's second. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I haven't seen him on since I started doing this, but I know you mentioned he used to go on.
Yeah, he's been on. Yeah. Don't overthink.
Cam?
No. Think Celtics podcast.
Not a Roundtable member.
No, not a Roundtable member. She's overthinking.
Podcast.
Dude.
What do you mean? Not a Roundtable member? Like that would be my first guess.
Celtics podcast, Noah. First name.
John Krause?
Yes. I was like, how are we taking this long? Yeah.
He's been on podcast 8 times?
Yeah,
like way back in the day, though.
Oh
yeah, God, he's been on a million times. Are we charity? Wow. Did you hear that? She goes, how nice of him, as if it were like some pity case. That's crazy.
No, doing her philanthropy work today.
Yeah.
That'll wrap the episode, I guess. Crazy. No, we're in the dead period. It's September 9th. We sat around talking before we jumped on. You're like, what do we like? There is nothing to talk about. So I'll just start. How's your offseason been? Are you enjoying the break, or are you at the point like us where, I mean, I basketball's got to be back soon because Celtics basketball's got to be back soon. I know you're in deep with the WNBA and they're getting into a really important time, but for the Celtics content side of things, it's getting pretty stingy, I suppose, lately.
Yeah. Well, yeah, like you said, it is really busy right now for the WNBA. I'm actually in New York still because I was covering a game between the Aces and the Liberty yesterday. But yeah, I'm mostly still doing stuff remote, so I miss like the everyday going to the garden, going to the Arabic Center. So ready for the season to start. But yeah, it's been a busy time because I just started my new job in like late July, and then I've been doing that for the last like 6 weeks. And but yeah, like even like myself, like doing my podcast and everything. Like it's just there's very little to talk about right now, and I don't like all the speculations. Like I think it's hard to just do like forecasting and like guessing and things. Like I like when we have things to talk about. So I'm excited for that. And it's just a couple weeks away. I feel like this dead period was literally a month only. I was thinking about what it would be like to cover like any other team, except for like the teams that made the finals, or even just like teams that were in the first round, and how boring that would be. So grateful that this was a very limited time.
See, I feel like if you were covering like a first round exit team, there would be speculation, but there would be like legitimate, like, oh, what if this, what if that? Like there are actually changes to be made. Like with the Celtics,
Yeah, that's true.
we watched Brad Stevens come out a week after they won a title, pay everybody, and erase any kind of conversations any of us could have throughout this part of the summer. Like, oh, what should they do with the final roster spot? Like, even though they brought in Lonnie Walker, Jack and I were kicking around there's no way they'll do anything because they don't want to pay even more luxury tax. Like, it just felt so dead right from the beginning.
Yeah, that's true. Like, I feel like re-signing everybody made it kind of like stopped the intrigue potentially, and then also like you don't have anything to fix. I feel like you can speculate all summer about things that your team needs to fix. Here, it's just like, will they be able to keep it up? I mean, how much can you talk about that? So we'll see. I feel like when we are back in training camp, we're going to hear a lot of interesting stuff, and a lot of like old storylines are going to surface too about like the championship and about the Olympics and things like that. So I'm sure we'll have lots of good stuff, but it's a good place to be because you'd rather hope that you can run it back in the same way that things were than be like, okay, we have 3,000 problems. Like, how are we going to correct each of them? And probably we won't because this is like our 8th offseason doing this,
How excited are you to talk about Jayson Tatum getting benched in the Olympics again? Are you thrilled? Are you like super pumped up because that's a super relevant storyline still?
I mean, you have to imagine it can't be like a multiple day thing, right? Like I imagine day one media day, Joe will get asked about it. Jaylen will get asked about his snub. He'll probably say something cryptic that like doesn't give us anything. By the way, do you guys remember, Jack, remember in Vegas when we talked to Jaylen? And so like his vibe about Nike was very like, you guys will see what's coming. You'll see. Was that the song? Like, was that his big?
No way, right?
You know what I mean?
Lawsuit's crazy.
I hope not.
I don't know. I hope not. Yeah, I hope
there's the song, dropping teases since summer league.
I hope there's more to that. I feel like it's got to be like a long-term thing with either like his shoes or like future Team USA appearances. Like he'll decline it or go to a different. I don't know. It can't be the song though. I feel like it's got to be more than that based on the way he was hyping it up and growing anticipation. Right? Like no way.
It might be the sneakers. You saw him at Rucker Park.
Yeah,
it's true.
Yeah. Well, it could be. Yeah. Well, whatever it is, I don't think it can last more than a couple days because you can't ask people about it more than once, right? So everybody will get one question about it. They're gonna ask like Sam Hauser about like Jayson Tatum getting benched, like everybody's comment.
Yeah. That'll be a whole thing.
Teddy,
true.
Theodore, Hauser.
Shout out Sam Hauser. Congrats.
Oh, is that his
a lot of dads?
Teddy?
Yeah, Theodore. A lot of dads on this team now.
Should we be concerned about these Jaylen shoes? Here's why.
I thought you were about to say, should we be concerned about Sam Hauser having a kid? I was like, what is this
shooting his threes? He's just gonna hit the back rim with the dad strength. No, like, do we know? I don't think we do. Do we know if Jaylen's shoes are like not sponsored, but like from a company, from like an Adidas, from a New Balance?
So I actually figured this out deep in Reddit last night. So I was gonna tweet it today so I could be like, oh, I figured this out. It's from a company in South Korea. And it's like super random. Like I couldn't find like other NBA players that have done things there. But that's why he was just in South Korea, because it was like with the studio. This is not verified. I was like on a hunt. I found like a South Korean like.
You guys heard it here first. Legion Hoops, come here. NBA Central, you got it.
Yeah, so don't aggregate me. But yeah, I think it's from that. And I actually was thinking the same thing, Sam, of like, when you kind of go with like out of the box shoes, then you have to wear them, right? You can't like not wear your own shoes. And if you're wearing bad shoes,
get
Like
hurt?
we've seen the
Lonzo.
Ball family, Yeah, right. It's the first ones that come to mind. But also just like I don't know who's the one whose shoes kept splitting.
Zion in college.
Zion had his shoes split, but I think that was just because he's a freak. But Lonzo, when he was wearing the big baller brand shoes, they were saying he would have to change his shoe at halftime. I think it might even be less than that, like after every quarter.
Yeah, so I don't know. Hopefully, because he's very durable. Jaylen Brown typically, like he hasn't really dealt with a lot of injury issues. So if all of a sudden he's dealing with something, it's like I don't know. I feel like my first thing is going to be his shoes are bad or like not the same level of because they're just used to wearing a certain kind of shoes. I mean, he was wearing Nikes all of last year, right? Like without the logo and stuff.
Yeah, he just blacked them out. Yeah, that is a little concerning. I feel like that would hopefully, ideally, be his number one priority. Like, I have to be able to wear these shoes, but
yeah,
I don't know. I guess it's a little scary if you don't know it's a reputable brand. Training camp is coming up. You mentioned it, and I know you were very high on Lonnie Walker, who is like the only person anybody wants to talk about right now because that is literally the only change that the Celtics made. And like I mean, we've talked a million times to Baylor Sharman and Anton Watson in Summer League and everything like that. Lonnie Walker is like the only new face going to be in Celtics green for however long. And I remember when he signed, not true. When he signed, I texted him like, "What do you think about Lonnie Walker?" And you were like, "I think he's great." And I was like, "I don't know how good of a fit he is."
Because he hates.
Do you still think Lonnie Walker will make the team? What's your percentage you think he makes the team? And why are you such a big fan of Lonnie Walker?
It's a good question. I would say he makes the team. I mean, makes the team means that he took the last roster spot. Now they're paying like
exactly
millions of dollars to pay for him. 51%. That's fair. No,
I had like 60%.
That's fair.
I'm
surprised you're less than me.
Right away, I was like, obviously, and then like as the hype of it has gone down, and I thought about it more critically, like it's a lot of money. You have to think that he can bring something that the rest of the team that they don't already have, right? Like they're not going to pay that money for like insurance, but like if he can provide a scoring punch in his own offense off the bench, and they think that can change like the cadence of their substitution patterns, maybe even give them the ability to rest guys more or whatever, like then it's worth that money. But yeah, it is kind of tough to think about like an exhibit. Like I feel like Brad prefers to have that last spot open, and like I asked him that in Vegas, and like he was very clear about how he wanted that 15th spot open. He likes the flexibility. It's what they usually do. He wanted to see what their needs were going to be with Porzingis out. So like I don't know that that's changed, except for the fact that one of their exhibit 10s is like way more interesting than your typical exhibit 10. So that's like why that's changed. But yeah, so you said, Sam, you said 60%?
Yeah, my feeling was I didn't disagree with Jack. Like I completely agree with what you're saying too with the money. Like that's my biggest reason to be skeptical.
Yeah.
Is the luxury tax makes it so I believe it's like roughly like triple whatever the minimum is they're going to end up having to pay in order to have him fill that spot if he does fill it. The reason why I'm more optimistic on him sticking around is that they wanted him at the trade, or they were interested in him at the trade deadline. I'm not convinced that they would circle back to this if they did not plan on moving forward with it in some degree. It just wouldn't make any sense. Why would you revisit it? Obviously, you didn't want to give up whatever you gave up or were going to have to give up to trade for him in February. But now, if you're getting him for free, you don't have to give anything up, and you already liked him on a team that was, including Svi at the time. Maybe you thought he was an upgrade over Lamar Stevens or O'Shea. But at this point, like, why not just keep him around other than the money? Like, it just feels like they would not have done this if it wasn't intentional.
I feel like he doesn't add enough over what the Celtics already have to pay that price. Like, I get that he's a good shot creator, but I think Pritchard can bring that a little off the bench. And even like past that, you have so many shot creators that you can spread out the minutes for on the roster. Like Derek White can create his own shot. Drew Holiday is that at times when he needs to be. You have Tatum and Jaylen Brown. Like you already spread out those minutes with the ball in their hands, playing time, whatever you want to call it, so even throughout the team, that adding another guy who realistically that is his primary skill. Like he's an okay shooter. I think his shooting was a little overblown last year. I think it was really hot to start the year and then really not to the end of the year. And so it's like, what version of him are you to get on any given night? So his best skill being shot creation on a team like the Celtics, where Pritchard can do that, Tatum can do that, Brown can do that, Derek can do that, Drew can do that. Like, I don't know how valuable that is, especially when I am skeptical of how fluidly he can play off the ball, because that Nets team didn't have much talent. I'll put it bluntly. They weren't good.
Yeah.
And so he just had a lot of opportunities to have the ball in his hands. And so I worry about that. And he's just not a great defender. And if you're not a great defender, it's going to be hard to find minutes in the Celtics rotation. There's exceptions, like Peyton Pritchard's small. He's a fine defender, but he's small, so he's just never going to be that amazing. So I'm just skeptical. I would say like 35%. I'm more of a skeptic than most, I feel like. I think he's a good player. I just don't think the fit's right with the Celtics.
So my thing with the defense is, and I haven't spent like a million hours looking at his like film or anything, but just looking at his like analytics, is that I do feel like if you enter a system where defense is the team defense is really good, and there's like buy-in and there's commitment on that end by everybody, then you can see like, is this person really a defensive liability, or was he playing for a team where there was like no defensive commitment and there wasn't like a good flow of people helping one another and whatnot. And that Nets team was kind of a mess. There was a lot of defensive liabilities on that team. So it is hard to kind of gauge like where that person falls. And I was trying to remember, like Lonnie Walker was a starter on that Lakers team that year that he had that fourth quarter against the Warriors. Then he fell out of the rotation, and that was mostly because of injuries. Like he came out of, he missed time with injuries. In that time, like different people replaced him in the rotation, and then he was kind of out. But I have a feeling that we're going to actually be pleasantly surprised by his defense when he's playing alongside four good defenders, which is what he'll be doing in Boston for the most part. Like I don't see him and Pritchard playing together that much. I don't see like a him, Hauser, Pritchard vibe going on too much. That's my idea. I feel like he's mostly there because I think we're going to be surprised by how much rest Drew, Jayson, Derek get. And honestly, Jaylen Brown, like I think all of them are going to get a lot of rest throughout the year, and it's good because it worked last year when they started resting them because they had the standings locked up. Like they never ran out of gas. They looked good throughout the whole stretch run, and now they're going to be coming off a finals run plus Olympics. Like Lonnie Walker might be there for like games in November where they need some guys to score because they're sitting Derek and Drew all of a sudden. Like I don't know. That was my thinking when he first came onto the scene, is that like it's not like they need him for like the 10th scorer on a team when they already have everybody in full strength, but it's more to give them flexibility to like take a guy out because now you have a little bit more firepower. Because I do feel like sometimes when they're resting guys, like a lot was on Pritchard's shoulders. I don't know. I can see one either way. The one thing I was going to ask you guys, I don't know if either of you guys are super good on this, but I'm not. Like, what about getting rid of somebody like a Jordan Walsh? I don't think he has that much guaranteed this year. Do you guys know like what that process would look like? Because I don't know. I hate to. I never want to like recommend that someone loses their job, but Jordan didn't look ready for this year. And thinking about like I would imagine if you're picking between Lonnie Walker and Jordan, it's an obvious pick right now.
Yes, I think so too.
Right now,
so he's fully guaranteed this year.
Okay.
He's fully guaranteed this year for $1.9 million. Then he is I'm on Spot Track right now. He is only guaranteed $200,000 next season. So it would just basically be eating it this year, and then next year you have to eat the $200,000, but then after that it's a team option for the 26-27 season. The easier that's probably realistically the only pathway. That's the only non-guaranteed salary in the books, I believe, for this season. And so it would just
what if you trade Jordan to like I don't know. I was just trying to think like are there more creative ways to sign Lonnie and not have filled up your 15 spots?
Yeah.
This would be like a Keith Smith topic, but I do feel like there's something there.
I wonder if it's more worthwhile to. It's tough because in order to keep him around, you probably have to sign him to the standard roster spot by the end of the training camp. Because I think whether or not he makes a team is fully going to be determined by how well he plays in training camp and the preseason, right? Like, I think he has to play at like 8 out of 10 or better during that time to make the team, just because of how much it's going to cost them to keep him around. But at that point, it almost might be worth it for them to sign him to the 15th roster spot, suffer paying whatever, and then find a trade for one of the bigs almost. Because I feel like as much as Allen Kristaps are going to miss time, like you have 3 big men on the bottom of the roster, plus Anton Watson, right? You also have Anton Watson on a 2-way contract who you could eventually convert if you want to pay the prorated salary by the time the trade deadline comes around. So like whoever is not performing to the level, Kornet, Cade, Tillman, maybe you trade one of them. Although I feel like it gets tricky there because I don't know if they'd want to trade Luke because he's like, as silly as it sounds, like everyone loves Luke Kornet. I feel like trading Luke Kornet, who is just like beloved by the entire team, could get dicey. I think Nemish Kid is a very clear upside guy. I think he's got all the talent. Then Xavier Tillman is probably the closest thing to an Al Horford replacement you have on the roster currently. So that's where it gets tricky. Maybe it is just Jordan Walsh, even though I think like he's obviously only 20. It was just only his rookie season. So you want to see his development pan out a little bit. So it just gets tricky with the roster crunch, man. They have so many players, and as much as Sam might not want to hear it, and I know you guys both like Jaden Springer, if they're not going to extend him, you could also unfortunately be the option. I love Jaden Springer. He's great, but like
membership away.
If they're not going to extend him anyways, then trading him to open the spot for Lonnie Walker wouldn't be the end of the world. But then again, like then you're just going to have to worry about re-signing Lonnie Walker if he's a good fit at the end of the year anyways. So it's just it's tough to see a world where he's around long term because in Lonnie Walker's ideal world, he plays well this season, then gets an actual multi-year contract next year. So, like, what's the likelihood of him staying around in Boston anyways?
Yeah. Feels like he would be a lot like Svi in that regard. I think Noah makes a good point about this, though, with the just wanting to be flexible with resting guys. You feel like you have more bodies that can step up and play real minutes in the NBA. Like, that is what you would get from this spot in terms of value. I don't really think they're worried about injury insurance with like the top guys, but who knows with these Jaylen shoes, right? Overall, you know, it does make for an interesting training camp at the very least, an interesting preseason. Like it gives us something to heavily key in on in the early games and in the month of September, early October. So I'm excited for it.
We'll see. I feel like that's just the storyline that there is right now because there are no others. So Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown obviously are going into the next season with this weird level of motivation. Sam and I have talked about it a million times. I'm curious because we talked about this briefly when I was on You Got Boston. Shout out You Got Boston. And you said something along the lines, like you picked Jaylen Brown for your MVP next season, right? And I said it's Jayson Tatum, and that we kind of like discussed how much room for improvement.
The Celtics, to be clear,
just the Celtics. Sorry, yeah, good call, thank you. Of the Celtics, how much they could potentially improve next year. How different do you anticipate both of their games looking next year, with the context of it's basically the same exact team. Kristaps is going to be out as like the only big difference, and then this whole like, if you want to call it motivation factor or whatever, of Tatum not making Team USA, or excuse me, Brown not making Team USA, Tatum being benched, like how much room for improvement do you think they both have? What areas are they in? And how different do you expect the Celtics to play, considering they just sort of dominated the league playing a certain style versus like what they could do in the future?
Yeah, well, I hope I'm wrong, but I don't think that Tatum's benching at Team USA is going to make him better. If anything, I think that he got a little shook confidence-wise because he was checked into the game at times, and it didn't look like he was out for blood. I think he looked like a lot of sorts. So I think he'll recover from it, and he's going to be back in the swing of things and back on the team that he's used to playing for with the coach that he's used to playing for. I'm sure he'll look fine, but I would be surprised if we see Tatum make like a huge leap because he's like extra motivated because of the fact that he lost his confidence in USA and lost his minutes. I hope I'm wrong again. I think it'd be a cool story, and I'm rooting for him. And it's just an intuition based off of like covering him and seeing his trajectory over the years. I could see Jaylen making that leap more, and that's why I picked him. Like it's so hard to pick. They're both obviously great players. They both can be the best player on the court at any given moment. But I feel like Jaylen has more of a track record of like leveraging like rejection and like leveraging like things going poorly and like utilizing that and playing well. And I also think Jaylen just entered the offseason feeling more individually confident. Like he was really at his peak in the playoffs, and they didn't play really well. But when your shot's not falling, like it just impacts the way you see the court, the way you see the basket. Like it just changes things. And so I don't know. Maybe Tatum's been shooting all summer and his shot feels great now, and he's like no longer shook. Or maybe he's like, I don't know what's going on with my shot. I'm changing approaches like every week. I don't know, right? But that's something that I was just thinking about is like, who's gonna bounce back from that Team USA thing? I do feel like, Jaylen Brown is where I would put my money.
It's funny that you say all that because Jack and I did a Jaylen video as you're hearing this now yesterday, and we kind of talked about the same thing. Jaylen's riding this wave of confidence after not only like having a good playoff run, like where he stepped up in a lot of big moments. He made some big shots. He obviously had the Indiana shot. He followed it up with a 40-point game too. He won both the MVP awards, but he also closed the season really strong. He was great in March. He looked super confident going to the basket. He was just using his strength, like using all of that muscle that he's put on over the years to go through guys' chests. And if he just continues to play like that this year, he could really take a leap. And I mentioned it to Jack. I was like, he could be like hovering, poking, knock.
Is it me or is it Sam?
No,
Sam?
It's Sam.
Sam? Yeah. Clap it up, everybody. This is when I filibuster. Whenever Sam freezes, I just sort of talk so I don't have to edit.
We're back. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I'm a master now. Don't worry about it. Go ahead, Sam. You're good.
What was the last thing you heard? Top 12?
Using his muscle to get to the basket.
Okay.
Well, like that. Yeah.
Yeah, if he does that, you could knock on the door of top 12.
We're talking about Jaylen being a top 12 player in the NBA next year, basically, on our most recent video. Thoughts?
Okay. Yeah,
I think that's a good ceiling. Okay.
I will say, I feel like I was on with Bobby Manning last week, and I was responding.
He did his top 100. I want to look at his top 100. We're gonna react to Bobby Manning's top 100.
I think it's on CLNS Media.
Oh hell yeah! I'm about this.
Yeah. So I responded to this top 100, and I realized like a lot of them I didn't agree with. I was like, oh, this person should be here. But I feel like if I made my own list of 100, I would still be able to go back and poke holes in it. Like this should not be the order, because sometimes it's easy to say like this guy's better than this guy, but then you realize like he's not better than this guy. But like it just kind of depends on who you're comparing it with. So maybe I'll do the exercise just for my own sake. But he had Jaylen at 18th, and I was like, nah, like that's not fair because
that's a little low.
It's a little low, but also it's like, what do you want from him? What else can he do? He was already Finals MVP. He was Eastern Conference Finals.
No. I mean, like, as in he should be ranked better.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. Right. I agree. I don't know. I just took an argumentative tone with you for that reason.
Yeah. No, it's fine. Yeah, I'll just go fuck myself. It's okay. All right. No, I want to see this because I remember seeing Bobby's top 100 on Twitter, and I texted you because you're on the stream with him. I was like, because he had Derek White over Tyrese Maxey, and I love Derek White.
Yeah.
Come on. Come on, though.
I kind of got a kick out of him just doing a top 100 because that would make me want to jump right off my deck.
Yeah, Maxey's better than 30, I think. I almost had him in my top 20. I did a top 20 earlier this summer just to send to my friends because we were talking about it. And he was like one of the guys that just fell out of my top 20. I also think Bam is criminally underrated by a lot of people's lists. Like I feel like Bam is a top 15, 20 player in the league and everyone has him like 30. And I think that's disrespectful to Bam defense. But I'm pulling up Bobby's top 100 right now. All right, here we go. Oh, but he fell into the trap that I hate when people fall into. I immediately just saw his top 5. All right, here we go. No, it's gonna be a tough screen grab for you. No, I'm sorry. This was unintentional. I just was pulling up a top 10. You're just it's cooked. Yeah, you're done. All right. He has Jokic, Giannis, Luka, Shea, Tatum, Embiid. He thinks Victor Wembanyama is currently the 7th best player in the NBA. Is that what he said?
I didn't agree with that either.
Or is this meant to be by the end of the season?
I don't know what point of the season. It's like entering next season.
Okay.
Entering next season.
LeBron is better than Wemby right now, I think.
Yes, and better than AD right now.
Yeah. Okay,
also,
I will say though, someone called me out on this in the chat. It might even be on the screen grab. Okay, it's not. But I kept saying like stuff because of the Olympics. Like I feel like now I want to put like Steph higher. I want to put like Durant higher, LeBron higher. And then someone in the chat was like, "You were the one the entire Olympics was the like you literally were saying don't use this for player rankings," which I was saying.
Yes.
But it's hard to not have that influence you at all.
It's hard. I think it's I've said this whenever like because context, I was out with my friends all weekend, and my friends like quote unquote hate Jayson Tatum. It's a pain in my ass. I hate
My
like
friends
making.
too. My
I
friends
know.
too.
I feel like way too many people do. And so like they're all like the Olympics. I'm like, you can't gauge NBA player rankings based on the Olympics because of how different the teams are and how different the roles are. Like if you're basing NBA player rankings based on the Olympics, then Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is like the top 2 player in the world, and Luka's not even in the top 20 because he didn't fucking make the Olympics. You know, like you can't. I find it difficult to use that. I don't get Shai over Tatum. That I don't like. I've made the Luka Tatum argument a million times. I get having
You're,
Luka
you're
over
comfortable
Tatum.
with Luka over Tatum?
Not really, but I get it more than Shai. Shai I don't understand because I think
Shai
Shai
should be over Luka.
really.
For sure.
Why?
Because I don't understand how we're comfortable with Luka being a top 3 player.
He's
after
not.
what you saw after fine, top 5 player, whatever. Like he was so bad defensively for so
100%.
much of the finals. He was like the biggest issue for the Mavs of points. And so to me, like it's disqualifying from being a top player. Like he's obviously what he does offensively is brilliant, and like that's enough to make you valuable and worth paying with all the money in the world. But if we're comparing like superstars, like I think it's just too much of a liability.
I agree.
We underweigh
love
it. Like
this.
I feel like Giannis gets slammed all the time because he's like has like a clunky offensive game, but he's like maybe the best 2-way star in the league.
This is great. This is
You know?
phenomenal.
We're
I
getting
spent
Noah
the
to
whole
hate.
weekend. Yeah, this is great. I spent the whole weekend saying Tatum over Luka, and all my friends got mad at me. And this is like phenomenal. I love this. This is great. The only reason
who was better in the finals.
I mean, there was a point in the finals where when Luka fouled out, I was like, "Are we sure this is a good thing?"
Yeah. Yeah, it's better when he's off the court. My thing with Shai is, and I said this to Sam when we talked about this something similar early season, I don't think he's better than Tatum and Luka now. I think by the end of this upcoming season, he will be. I just don't need to see it again because realistically, this was Shai's first time making the playoffs, right? Like as the best player on the team, and he got bounced in the second round. So like I get it, and I think he's great, and I think he will continue to be great because I think he has the 2-way skill set to be a top 3 player in the NBA. Put him so that was Shai, but I these guys eventually. Luka got blown by at like not an exaggeration, literally a historic rate in the NBA Finals.
Yeah.
Like, it was so bad. Wembanyama 7 is nuts. I want to go to see this.
The Shai thing is funny because I know where you're coming from on this. Like you're looking to see if he comes back after making the playoffs and if it did anything for him, right? But like to imagine him making a jump that someone like Tatum can't make, they're the same age. Like it's not like he's like 23. He's just having that first experience of actually being successful in the league. People act like he's like a rookie or like a second year guy. Like he's been around the block.
He has LeBron at 15.
Respect. I might text Bobby right now.
Wow.
Be like, just seeing your top 100. I like where you put LeBron.
Crazy. No, what was the biggest thing you disagreed with on the top 100?
Probably Maxey at 30.
Maxey at 30 was nuts. Maxey's awesome.
Everything we saw from him this past year in the playoffs, he was huge. He bailed them out a couple times. I think he's clutch. I also just love him. I think he just has like a great energy.
He thinks Dame is better than Maxey right now.
Yeah, that's probably going off history a bit. My thing with player rankings is
it's so subjective.
I need to have a really specific like what are we ranking? Are we ranking how good they are today? Are we ranking their careers? Are we ranking what they'll be next year? Are we ranking who would you rather have on the court? Like who's accomplished more? I feel like it's a little tough to just be like he's better than him, you know?
I think the pyramid is the best way. Just having guys everybody on the same level.
I think also positional rankings is tough. Like how are you comparing like Bam to Tyrese? You know, it's just tough.
Yeah, it's impossible. Sam hates rankings. He probably hated that entire 5 minutes.
I did not have much to say.
Yeah. I mean, respect to Bobby for doing that together. They're really like
oh yeah, I would hate that.
It is September. Yeah, it's
big ups to him. I don't know how he did it.
It is getting very late in the off season. We can talk about this too. Noah, you went to Rhode Island, Sam's home turf for Joe Mazzulla being there at the State House with the Larry O'Brien, all that stuff. You talked to some of Joe's family and stuff like that. How was it? How was it talking to people who've known Joe for a long time? And how was the whole event with Joe? I know he didn't talk to media, but he talked to the whole crowd and everything.
Yeah, it was great. So it was at the Rhode Island Capitol, and there wasn't like a lot of buzz around it, I think, beforehand. Like, people pretty much knew about it because the governor tweeted it. By the way, the governor, zero emotion on Twitter. Zero emotion. I couldn't believe it. He has like 20,000 followers. I was like, why is this guy not having like a bigger platform? Massachusetts governor would go viral. Anyways, there wasn't that many Celtics fans there. It was mostly people that like knew Joe-ish. It was a lot of people that were like, oh yeah, like I know Joey, and I'd be like, oh, how do you know him? And it's like, my great grandmother was his great grandmother's friend. I cut his hair once. Like, very like, you didn't really know him, like a lot of people were like pushing the narrative that they knew him more. But there were some Celtics fans. There were some like diehard people. A lot of people that like knew CLNS. So shout out if you were there. I guess that's how like the same people that are listening to CLNS in September are also like showing up to a Providence event where Joe is going to like appear for a sec. So shout out. But the cool thing was that it was clearly like a very special moment for him to be able to be in Rhode Island, in front of the people that like helped him get to this point. And they were very emotional. They were very normal. Like, I talked to his aunt and his cousin. They were like the most normal people you can imagine. It was just kind of funny to see. Like, I could tell they were kind of like, we still can't believe this is like our cousin who's like Joe Mazzulla, like the mysterious Joe Mazzulla with the trophy and everything. And so he took photos with every single person that was there. There wasn't that many people, so it was doable. And he basically just talked about like being back here and how over the last few years when he's been in Boston, it's given him the opportunity to be around a lot and like reconnect with a lot of the people that raised him, that babysat him, that gave him rides and meals and all that. And it was really cool because I feel like you don't always get to, you don't usually see people like in their hometowns because usually their hometowns are like far away. So not that he's from Providence, but there was like a lot of the people from his hometown were there. So I enjoyed it. It was like cool to see the trophy. Yeah, I think it was my first time seeing the trophy since like they won the championship. And yeah, they brought it down. The governor spoke a bit. Steve Pagliuca was there. I don't know if there's anything new on the ownership front. I'm sure you guys saw the report from WEEI that he's like not one of the finalists. I don't know if that's true, but he was there just kind of like talking about Joe. It was very much like a Joe celebration, more so than like a Banner 18 celebration, which he looked a little uncomfortable with, but like I think he just kind of relented at a point.
That would be very on brand for Joe, not wanting anyone to celebrate him. Like, he probably wished that everyone in Rhode Island was like, you're not good enough. So he'd be motivated.
Yeah.
That'd be very on brand. It looked like a lot of fun though. I was bummed I couldn't make it, but the turnout seemed like it was good. You didn't go to they didn't have you guys go to any other stops that he made, right?
No, I mean, they didn't have like Celtics PR didn't reach out to us about any of these. I think like if you hear about something, you can go, but it's not like we had a list of like, here's where the trophy's going to be this summer and like join where you want, because I know he was like at Gillette for something. Someone in the Celtics blog like met him, and I didn't. I think it was Gillette. Maybe it was
Spoony. It was at Spoony at West Virginia.
Oh, it was at West Virginia.
Yeah.
Oh, that makes more sense.
Yeah. Because Spoony went to West Virginia, I believe. So they were down there hanging out. I'm like, this whole podcast has been me thinking like, what else? Okay, Celtics. Because like Sam and I sat down here last night. We recorded every day. Yeah, we've been every day. Let me find. I can tell you the exact date we've posted every day, and we haven't missed a day yet. Which
it was like around the draft last year we started.
Yeah, it was the day. Yeah, every day, once a day, every day.
Not like hour long, but like 10, 15 minutes.
Yeah, we don't do full pods every day. Well,
what did she say?
No, she said you guys must be sick of each other or something like that.
Not really.
No, it's not that bad. I will say like, and we have posted like multiple times a day, like the draft this year, we were posting twice a day because we wanted to get like draft profiles up, but we started posting every day. The day after they got eliminated last year. So like the day after the playoffs, which was like the stupidest timing we could have possibly chosen. Like, nah, we're not going to do it during the playoffs. We're going to do it right after they are done for the year.
Because it worked.
It did kind of work. Like people started tuning in.
It was just like a time of crisis. So people needed to know what was going on. They needed takes. They needed opinions. Like this year's been different. Like it has not been what last year was.
Yeah.
But it's still been like worth us doing because we have people that stick around now and it's still a lot of fun.
Yeah, no complaints. It's just like this time of year, it gets like, what's it called? On the ropes a little bit in terms of what we can talk about, what the content's like, stuff like that. I was going to ask you though, and I think this question popped in my head because we recently did a Sam Hauser defense video. And I think it was Basketball Poetry, which is Michael Shear, who's actually at Celtics blog now. Shout out Michael Shear.
Cool.
About Yeah, he writes for Basketball Poetry. He did an article. I don't know exactly what it was called, but it was like, let me find Basketball Poetry. Oh, I know how I can find it. Celtics website. It was basically like underappreciated random skills that NBA players have, right? Like he did 10 players with a surprising skill. It was like Najee Marshall attempts like the most half court he is at anybody in the league. Kyle Kuzma was like nasty at hook shots last year. Halliburton blocked like the most 3-pointers in the NBA. Trey Murphy never turned the ball over. So I was going to ask you, what do you think the most random skill that is not the first thing you think of when you think of a Celtics player is that they are like significantly better at than league average? So like, how's your defense is one, right? But like, you can't pick like scoring for Tatum or driving for Jaylen Brown. Like what is the most unique thing that a Celtics player is good at that people probably don't realize he's good at?
I think
I'm putting you on the spot here. Sam, you're laughing at the question, but I'm okay. Please.
Tatum missing step back threes.
Jrue Holiday defense. Did you take him away?
I removed him. I cooked him up. Jrue Holiday defense. But I feel like everyone knows he's. I was like, what the hell are we doing?
That was really a lot of benefit of the doubt.
I mean, the Jrue corner threes is a good one, but we all know about that.
But everybody knows
it's
that
been
now.
spammed. Like
everyone's I haven't heard anybody say.
I know.
We really talk about this team a lot, so it's like,
I know.
I mean,
I feel like
is a good one.
Pritchard Heaves, but even that, I feel like
Derek
Derek White
shots in general.
Derek White is a good screener. Weirdly, like him and Tatum ran a ton of screens last year, whether it be horns, whether it be whatever. Like those two screen for each other a lot, and I think they should use Derek White as a screener more because one, he pops out to the 3-point line so quickly, right? Like he can just get out and it's easy pick and pop. But at the same time, like if he rolls, he's really good at making decisions in the short roll because he's got that floater. He's just a good decision maker in general. And so he's not a good screener in sense of like Derek White's not going to body you, right? Like you're not going to fall over running into a Derek White screen. But I think working out of the pick and roll as the screener, I think Derek White was good last year and will continue to be good in the future. And I think they could use him like that more. But
is Al Horford passing too basic?
I think that's good. I think he's a better passer than people realize. It's tough because
I think it's less about like he doesn't have like flashy passes, but the team's ball movement is just better when he's on. Like he's just good at he's literally just good at making sure everybody touches the ball.
Yes, that's a good one.
I think a sneaky good Celtics one is Cornette being a great field goal percentage guy. Feel like he's pretty reliable, good touch around the basket, good on the lobs. I mean, he made his 1-3 last year. He doesn't come up in the official leaders.
Cornette throws down lobs.
He's a good pick and roll guy.
Yeah. I feel like he doesn't get credit for being a good lob threat.
I think
he's Rob with no athleticism, but a few more inches.
Yeah, pretty much. I think obviously you saw it with like the highlight play in the playoffs, but even before that, Tatum behind the back bounce pass was just cash all year. Whether it's Porzingis top of the key, like into the corner, like he's just like, I feel like he almost likes it too much. Like it could just be easier for him to turn and pass, but he's like, nah, I'm going to show you that I can do this now. And it always hits. Like it's a good thing, but
it does hit. Yeah.
It's a random thing. Was
this the first year he really got into it though?
I think it's Porzingis. Yeah. I feel like the Porzingis pick and pop was like, let me really show this off a little bit.
Should have had a little bit with Horford in the past.
He's done it probably for sure a little bit with Horford. I'm trying to think what else. Like I'm trying to think of one for every player, but there's just like more obvious ones that come. Like I can't think of one for Jaylen Brown. Like I can't think of like some people don't realize Jaylen Brown is good at his thing, but he is good at this thing. Like
big buckets.
Just like
seriously,
yeah, just middies. But I feel like everyone kind of knows.
No, but like at this point. In timely spots, especially in the playoffs. Like everyone's gonna remember the Pacers one, but there were several games like he stopped the Celtics from falling apart completely in Game 3 of the finals.
That's the biggest one.
He made a big shot at the end of Game 2. Like, he was the one that drove and made a layup after, like, they went up 14, and then Dallas cut it to 5, and I was ready to die. And then Derek White blocked the shot on the fast break, and then he came down and scored after they hadn't scored.
I was like the leading tweets at the end of Game 3 because I had already tweeted like 2024 champions. I was like, wait, shit.
The Pacers series was terrifying. I said this right after, like, I said this during the finals. I think the Pacers were the toughest matchup the Celtics had in the playoffs, just based on like game to game. And
it's so
I think that's a testament.
Mavs fans hate that.
Well, it's true. It's so true.
They still hate it. I went on
the
a
Celtics should have lost 3 of those
Pacers
games.
podcast.
I went on a Pacers podcast like last week, and they were asking me about I was like, oh, I think Andrew Nembhard was like the best player they played. Like, I could tell they were so happy. Like they were like so hyped. I was like, Pacers were the most challenging team.
They were.
Yeah.
They're really going to be good. Like, they're going to have a full year of Pascal now. Nembhard has another season under his belt. Like, they just re-signed McConnell, so he's going to have this sense of security about him. Halliburton will hopefully be healthy. Like, they should have something to look forward to for sure.
Just in the spirit of pissing off Mavs fans, I don't even think the Mavs were second. I think the Cavs gave the Celtics a better challenge than the Mavs did. The Mavs were terrible when they played those games. Outside of that one blowout game in which I think the Celtics just had everything possibly go wrong, like, the Cavs were legitimately competitive in most of those games. Like, the Celtics had a couple of their blowouts, but
went home.
Losers.
I don't buy it, but people think that.
But like, Donovan Mitchell was a pain in the ass when he was healthy. Like, he was giving the Celtics buckets. Like, he's just, I mean, that's just what he does. But I thought the Cavs were a more challenging series than the Mavs too. I think it's embarrassing the Western Conference let the Mavs get out of the West. They were not that good of a team. I think the Timberwolves and the Thunder should have absolutely beat them. The Nuggets should beat. Like, how are you going to go all the way to the finals without realizing, like, just don't double Luka that much, because he's just going to make the pass, and you just have to live with him taking some tough shots. Like, for the Sam Hauser video, we looked at it. He shot like 10 of 15 against Sam Hauser in the playoffs, but they were all twos. He did not make a 3 against Sam Hauser. And so you're going to live with that over giving up an open 3 because you're just going to live with some of those ISOs. Like, I don't know how the Thunder and the Timberwolves and all these teams let them get by them like easily. Like, neither of those teams put up a huge fight. Like, Timberwolves got cooked in 5.
Yeah.
It's just, it didn't make any sense.
I'm really curious. I think the Timberwolves might have ran out of steam, honestly. Like, they had that
Probably.
Nugget series, took everything out of them. But I'm really curious to see how those teams shake out next season, like from a regular season standpoint, because I do feel like people are really like, nobody has Dallas like at the top of the Western Conference, even though they literally just won the finals and have like pretty much the same team coming back.
Do you think they got better?
I thought they had a good offseason personally.
I'm such a Clay stan. Don't kill me, but I
think Clay's good.
Like, I mean, he was great, obviously, but it's hard to gauge like if he has another run in him or if he's like kind of cooked. I don't know.
I think he's not Clay anymore, but he's like, I think he's like an okay KCP now, which is fine. Like, that's still a fine role player.
He's a defender though. He's kind of a defensive liability these days.
Yeah, I think he's like a B or C tier KCP, which is, again, still like I think Clay will still average like 13, 14 points a game on good 3-point efficiency, but you're going to need to make up for it.
I'm rooting for him.
Yeah, well, hopefully he's fine. It's not like he's paying a ton of money anyways. Like, he's making a fine.
No, I think they got better. The question is, like, can you repeat the success that they had in the playoffs? Like,
yeah. What are your thoughts on Rudy Gobert? Rudy Gobert, good player, bad player?
I mean, he's a good player. I just don't know. It was kind of wild to see what happened to him in France. Like, when money wasn't involved,
couldn't
wasn't
play
on the court anymore. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. He might be one of those players that, like, he's so strong in some regards, but so weak in others. Kind of like a Russell Westbrook type, where it's like his individual greatness, like in that specific category, is like indisputable. But I don't know if you can win around it that much. So I'm probably the first person to ever compare Russell Westbrook and Rudy Gobert. But
I just like making you answer like difficult questions, like where you have
LaVine, good or bad.
Yeah, Zach LaVine, good player, bad player.
Bad. I mean, contract aside.
Yeah, in general, contract aside.
Okay, I don't like good and bad. I don't like this like that. Like,
I like this. I got another one.
This is fun. Yeah, hit him. Go.
Last one.
Julius Randle, good or bad?
Okay, this is a tough one because I think he might hurt the Knicks.
We'll
see.
I agree.
I disagree.
No,
We've
we'll
had
have a
this debate
Boston
plenty of
Celtics.
times.
You saw him on Instagram this weekend, Jack. I told you about this last week. I'm like, he's gonna get butthurt that it's not about him anymore. And sure as shit, he fucking posted about them having everyone else's jersey on.
That was I couldn't. I thought that was fake. I was like, I'm getting.
Oh, I hope it wasn't fake.
No, I think it's real. My initial instinct was that it was fake.
My thing is, I think Julius Randle is a good basketball player, but I don't think I think he'll be fine in the Knicks, and I do think they would have been better off last year with him healthy. But they probably could just use a center. The thing I talked about, or we talked about, was like Julius Randle for Jared Allen. I think both teams probably get a little better, but I don't know. That was my trade idea for Julius Randle, but who knows?
My favorite Randle thing this weekend was Knicks fans saying they're sick of this whole thing making them look bad, like they don't like Julius Randle when they tore his poster down.
That's tough.
And stepped on.
That's tough. All right. Last thing before we let you go here, because I don't even know what I'm going to title this. We have just talked about every random fucking thing, because this is where we're at in the offseason. We have to do another video for tomorrow, and I have no idea what we're gonna do it on. Like record tomorrow. I mean, like this pod's coming up.
I was like, what do you mean?
No. But like I don't know what we're gonna talk about. We're gonna have to get creative. I mean,
we've been doing some report, Noah. You have enough clout.
Yeah. Like, can you post something on Twitter? Like
say something about the
I actually might have a report. I'm waiting on it.
Let's go. Yeah. Give the HBT the scoop. We'll get the video out. Hell
it's
yeah,
a main Celtic report.
We're back.
We're here. We're ready to go. Just tweet a question mark again, like the playoffs. Or what was it? A dot.
On edge back then. They thought it was about KP. As though that's what I would do.
That was so fun. That was great. The last thing I wanted to ask before we go. Media Day is coming up in a few weeks. I want to know for like what question you are most excited to ask any player. Like, do you have questions you like have in the bank? Like, okay, I want to know this from this person. I want to know this from this person. Like,
I think
because obviously there's not much going on, but
what the most fun thing they did all summer was.
You're like a school teacher. It's like second grade. Coming in. Guys, what are we doing?
Okay, because think about how much stuff John Brown did. Like, how's he gonna
I know. Fun? Yeah, he's done everything.
Okay, you're gonna be jealous when I get really good answers.
No, because I'm just gonna write the article too. I'm gonna
I know that's the thing with journalism. It's like when you had like the question to Derek White about, I forget what it was, and then I tweeted it, and then it was like I had the video, but it was like,
it was the Joe quote, because he said nobody cares. Yeah, and then he wore the T-shirt.
Story if nobody cares.
And no one knows. Everyone thinks it's probably you. My life fucking story is. Oh, we need to do this too, because I know you love being negative. The rat list.
Bro, I have Mike in my apartment right now, please.
It's the rat list. You've heard of the rat list. You know we do the rat list every podcast. The rat list is where we complain about stuff that has nothing to do with basketball. The rat list is basically our chance that we do not talk about basketball. It's like mice being in your apartment. Rat list.
Yeah.
Rat list of mice being.
I'd be heated. Mice in my apartment, and literally I can't deal with it. I had mice in my apartment in college, and it was just like, and they took over my apartment. Like I feel like I was just a resident, and it was their apartment. And so because of that reason, I'm so anti-mice. Like I could not be more anti-mice. And yeah, sometimes when I'm sitting in the living room working on my little article, all of a sudden I hear like they're walking by, and I'm like, yeah. And then I try to be really loud so we don't have to confront each other, so they know to hide. And I'm like stomping into the kitchen, and if I see one, it ruins my week. So we have like a whole plan now, but. Yeah.
How are you gonna get rid of them? Like, did you call exterminators or your landlord or something?
Yeah, we have our landlord got an exterminator company, but then I feel terrible. I don't want to trap them. Like, there was one that we caught on a sticky trap underneath the oven, and it was like screaming. I just put on my noise canceling headphones and went to bed. I was like, I can't. I called my landlord in the morning. I was like, you have to.
Turned a blind eye. just let it happen. No, power rankings of like animals that you're terrified of.
Terrified?
Give me a top 3 or 4.
Like probably like lions. I don't know, like animals.
No, like ones that you can like encounter.
Like you want an example?
Mm-hmm.
Like number 1, snakes.
Snake. I fucking hate geese. I don't know if it's scared. I just hate them. Geese suck. I hate because they're all over golf courses. Geese are what the fuck? What do you mean a red flag?
Geese are great. During the pandemic,
geese
I was
are
like walking
great
around looking for geese to hang out with.
You're fucking kidding. Have you seen their teeth?
I haven't seen their teeth. No. Why
I hate turkeys too.
I'm about to change it. Well, because they chase you. If you get too close to them on golf courses, they'll chase you. Like they'll run at you. They'll fly at you. All right, hold up. Now I'm mad. Red flag. Geese are terrible. I don't like spiders. No, are you afraid of spiders or no?
No, not really. I'll just if I see one, I'll just leave it.
I don't think I'm.
Dude, look at this fucking thing.
I don't love.
Look at this fucking thing. Hold up. Anyways, after I show you the geese teeth, we'll wrap up. This is a random tangent, but look at this. Look at this. Come on, pop up. My computer's moving slow, so it's the new Wi-Fi. Anyways, here are the geese teeth, and I'll get you out of here. Maybe this will change your perspective on how fun they exactly are. Look at that.
Doesn't impact me at all.
Not moved.
Whatever. Anyways, thank you, Noah, for joining us. We appreciate you here being the rat list as well. We'll have you on again soon.
To talk about for the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, thank you. Find Noah. You got Boston on Twitter at Noa Dalzell. No NBA anymore, which has fucked me up a few times. But
I know it's annoying. I can't search stuff in my own tweets anymore.
Yeah.
So annoying.
But anyways, thank you for joining us. We appreciate you very much. All right. Thank you very much to Noah for joining us on the podcast. Hopefully we'll be back very soon. We can have her back on to talk about actual basketball instead of the random pile of whatever we put out, but hopefully you guys are entertained by it. I feel like, the issue with that show is there's no like perfect title for it, but I feel like we hit a lot of like interesting talking points. Like I feel like we talked about like actual stuff. It was just like there was so much randomness to it that it's tough to like have an actual firm like this is what we talked about.
Season review.
Yeah, I was gonna do the depths of hell of Celtics offseason.
I like that better. Yeah,
I don't know how.
Title.
I just don't know how graceful YouTube will be for putting that in the title. Because like if you put a swear word in the title, there, and hell's like whatever. But like I just don't know YouTube's algorithm. Like, we'll see. Anyways, appreciate y'all for tuning in. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and I'll let Sam take it out.
Hey, thank you very much for listening and watching. Make sure you subscribe, leave a like, comment, tell us what you thought. Hit the bell because we're coming at you with new content every morning. Pods like these drop Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday. During the season, game recaps are up the morning after each game. And other videos are up on the channel every day to keep you busy in between. You can find Jack and I on Spotify and Apple as well. It's just the name of the pod. You can find all pods and recaps on those platforms. So if you follow, they go right to your feed. You can find us via email, which we did not read today. Maybe we'll do a mailbag tomorrow. hbtcpod@gmail.com. is the address. Reach out to us. Tell us how you're feeling. Send your rat list, hbtcpod@gmail.com. The socials are at How About Them C's for Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Facebook's the name of the pod. All streams are there. They're on YouTube. They're on Twitter. Jack's Twitter's at JacksMoneyNBA. Mine's at Sam France NBA. That's it for us.
Taco. Come on. Taco's having some fun here.